If you're someone who has always wanted to get consistent clients in their online service-based business without the pressure to post on social media, I made this podcast specifically for you. I'm Leslie Stevens, and I am so excited to welcome you to the Not an Influencer show, where we chat about other organic marketing strategies that you can use to bring clients into your business quickly and easily, and the tangible tips for you to move forward faster in your business and the stories of the entrepreneurs who are doing the same every single day. You do not have to be an influencer to be an impact maker and a successful online business owner. If you have ever spent way too much time and energy pumping out endless content for social media with little to no clients in return, let's stop doing it the hard way and let's do it the easy way with the client connection method. I teach this method in depth in my free training, How to Book Consistent Clients Without Having to Post on Social Media. The link is in the description. Go ahead, click it to grab your spot. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this conversation today because Tonia is one of the very first people that I thought of when I was trying to decide if I was going to start this show or not. And I was like, she would be just an absolute wealth of knowledge to share with people, because not only has she created an extremely successful business, but she's just a fantastic person. So, Tonia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you so much for that incredible intro, Leslie, and thank you for thinking about me first and for having me on your show. I'm Tonia Smith. I am an empowerment and business coach for women looking to launch their businesses. Basically using their experience, their skill set from their corporate jobs into monetizing their own businesses. And I have been doing this for about a year and a half now, pretty successfully, if I say so myself.
Yeah, you don't even have to say it. It speaks for itself. So how did you get into this?
It was really organic. I had launched several businesses in the past, having transitioned and having used my own knowledge from the tech space. I'd worked in the tech space for 10 years across multiple different industries, across different countries, from Nigeria to the US, to the Middle East, to Malaysia, the whole thing, right? And I actually got coached by a business coach who advised me. I went all the way to Australia to actually get this incredible coaching by this renowned coach. And I said, I want to be like a life coach and a business coach. I want to help people. And he said to me, well, what have you done the past 5-10 years? I said, well, I've done tech. And it's like, have you made millions for the companies you've worked with? I said, well, I have made a lot of money, millions, tens of millions for the company. And it's like, well, why don't you do that for yourself? I get it. You want to do all these things and you want to be fulfilled in the world, but why don't you make all that money, right? And then go do whatever the F you want to do. I don't know if I can cuss on your show.
Yes, you definitely can.
He said, do that for about a year. And go do whatever the fuck you want to do, because that means that you filled up your cup so much that you can serve people. And I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? And I did that for a year, quite in a very disciplined way. And I had never been, unhappy and depressed in my entire life, because I was so done with that space. And I knew that I had evolved, my soul had evolved so much more out of the space I was occupying. And there was a lot of mutiny. There was no alignment with who I was versus who I was showing up as at work. So I used 2020 to actually play around and give my time away for free, because I wanted to decide for myself if I loved coaching enough to actually do it without the validation of money or whatever else. So I just coach people for free. Anyone that wanted coaching, old, young students, experienced people, men, women. I coached in 2020, from February 2020 to about November when I actually officially launched. I coached people and I loved it so much that, it became an organic free thing into an actual structured business. Yeah.
That's incredible. That is incredible. It's so scary and it's so bold to take that chance on yourself. So like putting yourself in that position with that coach where they were like, well, why don't you do that for yourself? It's like, oh yeah, why don't I? But at the same time, so many people wouldn't take that chance, and you took that chance and you just completely changed your life and the people's lives who now you get to impact. So when you started coaching for free, did that just organically transition into paid clients after that? Or did you ever feel like there was some type of gap or resistance to getting clients?
Honestly, because I did it without the validation or without expectation of money, it was a natural attraction of clients. The only thing that I had to structure or had to be quite intentional about was who exactly did I want to coach, because I couldn't coach everyone, right? And I knew that I wanted to coach people like me, right? People that had very similar stories like me, because I understood my story. I understood my challenges. I understood what I didn't have when I, was looking for a coach, and when I was transitioning. I understood the pains. I understood, you know, doing a presentation and speaking and actually having like an out of body experience. Like, what am I saying? Do you know what I mean? Because what you're saying doesn't actually correlate to who you are anymore. It's like, who is this person, right? I had lived that person. I have embodied that story, right? So I knew exactly who I wanted to coach. So to answer your question, I don't think it was difficult for me to attract clients, because at the time I was charging close to nothing. If I tell you what I was charging at the time, you would laugh in comparison to what I charge now. So it wasn't a big jump from going from free to what I was charging. It's like, okay, cool. I see the value. I'm just gonna pay that amount, because it wasn't a huge amount for my program at the time.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's such a great way to get started. First of all, knowing yourself so clearly and knowing who you could support the best, but also allowing yourself that space to like try it out and be like, are these the people I really want to work with? Do I need to work with men? Do I need to see what it would be like to work with a different type of person than me without that monetary value? Like, you're depending on it so much for something to work out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when it comes to attracting clients in your business now, how would you say, what's the biggest source of clients you have now?
Honestly, when I started, I thought that would be my biggest issue, getting clients. And I psyched myself out and I did all the things, and I, launched Instagram and I did some podcast. But now it's purely organic and I love it. I love that my business is really organic. It's purely word of mouth. I show up on Instagram, but I don't think I've actually solely got a client off of social media, right? It's off of existing clients, word of mouth, and, transitioning from one program to the other, and then introducing me to their friends or their colleagues or whoever else. So purely word of mouth at the moment, which I absolutely love, because that means that the result of the client are actually doing the work for me instead of me, right? My results are actually attracting more clients, which is the biggest compliment to the business.
Yeah. And I feel like so often people get caught up in social media and trying to make social media work that they kind of get distracted from trying to figure out if their programs are actually working. Because for you, you're creating those client results, so that in turn is bringing you more clients, where people who get distracted by feeling like they need to be on social media all the time, they're like, why is my content converting? And it's like, what if you backed up a little bit and took time to focus on why aren't your programs creating extraordinary results for the people that you're working with? Because that can be leveraged so much more easily. So how did you kind of break through the pressure to feel like you needed to show up on social media? Because as female entrepreneurs, there's a lot of pressure to also show up all the time online, especially working with coaches and all of that. So how did you let go of that?
So at the beginning, I was very new in the coaching space, right? So I wasn't influenced. I just was very conscientious of staying in my lane. and I wasn't influenced by what everyone else was doing. I had my coach, I had the program I signed up for, I had the curriculum, and I had the women in that space. But I knew that I wanted my program to be quite unique. So I didn't really have that influence and pressure of showing up at the beginning. What I knew I wanted to do was to just show up and share my story and share my program. It was that simple. So I think officially I started my coaching business in November 2020. And in December, I did a launch, right? I probably didn't sleep for 2 weeks because I was so excited about it and like all the back end stuff and everything I didn't know. But I was like, I'm going to do it or it's going to kill me. I'm just going to do it. So I just thought to myself, I will do a launch. I had no idea what a launch was, right? So I was learning on the go, but I just knew that my story was so powerful that it had to be shared. And I didn't expect anything, to be fair. I just thought I'm just going to share my story and see what sticks. I did that launch in, I think, 3 days before Christmas in 2020. So this was the COVID year, right? It was the year that we didn't know what the hell was happening, and like going through the whole thing. And here I come trying to launch a coaching program for the first time. And 3 days before Christmas, I did that launch, and I think I had maybe 120 signups, which is incredible for me at the time. And maybe just over a half of those people showed up. And I had a lot of people sign up for my discovery sessions, and they wanted to know what I was about because I shared my story so authentically and shared my success stories from when I coached for free, because those people actually went on to launch businesses. So I just let that do the talking for me, and I had all of these, testimonials and whatnot. And off the back of that launch, I had clients. I had a handful of clients that wanted to work with me in 2020. So that's how we started, and we went on to different programs that pretty much lasted all of 2021.
And your results just kept compounding from there because you brought those people on from that launch who got great results, and then they started bringing their friends in. So it's just this process for you that has worked so well because you've stuck to that authenticity. And I love what you said at the beginning, that you weren't influenced. You were just staying in your lane, and you were sticking to what you knew was right. Absolutely. And that's something that I wish I did.
You know what it is, Leslie? There's just so much information out there. It's just a plethora of information. And I thought to myself, goodness me, we're consuming so much that at some point we're not going to have original thoughts anymore. It's like, what are you actually thinking? What is your original idea? What do you want to put out into the world without any external influence? Like, you are the visionary, right? You're the visionary. You have the idea. You have the vision. How about you actually take time for yourself, stay in your lane, and put out what you want into the world, minus the influence of social media or anything else anyone else is doing. And that's just how I like to operate, because I know that I know my stuff.
Yeah, you do. And that's brilliant. And I say this because I've been in that position before where I was trying everything to make my coaching business work. And every coach I worked with was telling me, oh, you have to post on social media every single day to attract clients. Like, that's what you have to do, very first thing. So I was trying my best to do that. And it was so unauthentic for me. And I had that resistance to posting every single day. And you feel that in people, and you feel that in their content, and things just don't quite work. And then it gets even more frustrating because you're like, I'm working so hard and I'm not getting the results that I wanted. And there was a point, I think I took 2 months off of social media. And I realized I had been getting more clients than I ever had gotten before, because I was so focused on my work and working with the people I already had, that then they started bringing clients in. And years before, I would have disregarded that completely. I would have been like, well, I'm not posting every single day, so I'm failing, but I'm getting clients. So it was this weird disconnect about what I was deciding success was.
Yes, exactly that.
And
Exactly.
what actions I was really supposed to be taking. So the
Mm.
best thing I ever did was get off of social media for a while and start to look at what was actually working in my business and trusting that if I focused more on that, that the results would come. Even though every day I still see when you hop on social media how to do social media marketing, or you need to post every single day from all of those people. But it's having that trust in yourself and your programs and what you're doing, again, which you have done from the very beginning.
Thankfully. Because I do have a few, friends in the coaching space that have become quite paralyzed by the thought of doing anything now, right? Launching a service, a product, doing any kind of launches because they have been influenced so much by what everyone else is doing, right? And it took them a few months or 6 months or whatever to actually launch, right? So they're paralyzed by the influence and they're paralyzed by this false, perfection. I didn't have a program when I did a launch. I just had my story. I didn't have anything structured. It was when the first client came in, I'm like, holy shit, I need to go put together an agreement, right? Like, I need to structure this. I need to go put together like a welcome pack and everything. And I did that on the fly. And that was the best thing I could have done for myself, because had I had everything together, if I had everything together, like the whole, curriculum, the course, everything, I would have been stuck in my head. And the biggest thing that I'm committed to is just showing up. It's just showing up, because when you said, oh, it feels like hard work. I have worked hard all my life. I have worked hard in my professional business, right? I have worked hard. But the thing is, when you are in this space, when you're aligned, right? When you're so aligned with your work, you never have to work hard. That's how I feel. Whenever I'm doing coaching and doing all the things, even the behind the scenes, like the admin stuff, it doesn't feel like hard work because I'm so aligned. It's almost like an extension of me, right? Even for this call, like we had one talk prior to this, and it's like, okay, cool, it's just who I am. You don't need to prep for anything. It's just who you are, and that feeling of working hard is when you're in misalignment with who you are. So I just don't do it. I only show up on social media when I feel like showing up, and it's authentic, and always have engagement, even when I don't show up as much, because it's authentic. It comes out from the heart. It's just an extension of me. So, I really don't subscribe to the idea of what the industry is doing. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It's just what's important for me is what feels good in my business. And if it doesn't feel good, I'm not doing it at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. And it's not that social media marketing isn't incredible. And I always say that social media marketing definitely works and it's a great tool, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. And just like you, I feel like I know way too many people who can do incredible things and have incredible business ideas, but they are so intimidated by the feeling that they have to show up on social media every single day. I know people who haven't started their businesses, or they've started their businesses and have waited for months to put anything out there because they have this expectation that everything has to be perfect first.
Can I just share? You don't need social media, because when I started my business, I think I probably had like 200 followers or 300 followers, maybe less than that. And in my first month of my launch, I did over 20K pounds for my launch. So you don't need social media, right? At all.
No, you don't. But it's so hard to disconnect from the things that we see every single day, especially when we're trying to start a business. But again, it's trusting yourself. It's like, okay, the proof is going to show itself to you. You just have to open your eyes and pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do.
It's hard, but I think there's nothing more authentic than listening to yourself, right? Than staying in your lane, paving your way, right? Because I just believe that we have the answers, and there's nothing wrong with testing it out, and that's what you did as well, right? You tested it out.
Mhm.
It's like, doesn't feel really good to me, right?
Yeah.
That feeling is your indication that you need to do something differently. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah. I remember when I shifted my business and I stopped posting, I was like, this feels way too easy. I was like, this feels like it's unfair. Like I'm not working. Like I should be busy or panicking about something because I had been in that space for such a long time. So I was
Mm.
like, I must be doing something wrong. This is too easy and it's working. And I was like, you're sabotaging yourself if you go back and try and follow things that you feel like you're expected to do instead of the things that are actually working.
It's very interesting that we think that we are only successful when things are difficult in our businesses. It's a
Mm-hmm.
condition. I also had to let go of that belief as well. It's like, it's too easy. I'm not working hard. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. The ease, the
Yeah.
flow, the abundance. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. But we've been conditioned that we're only going to be successful. We've only earned success if we worked really, really hard for it. If we, overcome hell and high water,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely not. I don't subscribe to that anymore. I'm made for a life of ease and abundance, and I also call that forward into my business. And that's how I
Yeah.
attract the client I attract as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what would you recommend would be the first three action steps for anyone trying to start their coaching business?
Very good question. Very good question. Think maybe I have a couple. I will just do it off the fly. I think the first thing is to really understand the superpower in your story. Right. That was my first launch. I think it was called Monetizing Your Superpower, right? Which is your story. You are here, you are where you are for a reason, right? There are no coincidences. You've done the jobs you've done for a reason. You've attracted the people in your life for a reason. Your network is your network for a reason. You like what you like for a reason. You have certain skills for a reason. But we don't even take the time to understand. We don't take the time to actually find links and patterns in our stories. Like, oh my God, this happened, that happened for a reason, right? So really go back into your life, right? And figure out when you felt really powerful, right? And it's like, okay, how can I transfer that into a skill, into something that's so uniquely me that I can pass on to someone else? That is so powerful. That's the first thing that I did, right? So I went through my
Mm-hmm.
entire life, like, oh my God, this event, that event, when I was doing this, but all of that, right, is identifying the superpower in your story, number one. Number two is understanding what will bring you fulfillment the most, right? Say in 20,
Mm-hmm.
30 years, you're looking back into your life or into your business, it's like, what is the thing that brought me the most fulfillment? For me, one of the things definitely is my clients, knowing that I'm able to transform women like myself, right? I could go 3 days without eating. Okay, maybe 3 days is an exaggeration, but I've gone a full day, maybe a full day and a half without eating because I'm working and I'm in meetings, and it's like I'm so full and fulfilled, right? Because I'm speaking to these women, I get to experience their transformations, that I'm full. Quite literally, I'm full and I feel fulfilled, right? So, what is
Mm-hmm.
the thing, or what actions, what activities would fulfill you? Identify that, right? And number three is just figuring out your own formula. And I say this to my clients as well. It's like, what is the Leslie formula? What is the Tonia formula? Right? What is your formula? How do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to hold yourself accountable? How do you want to work? Who do you want to attract? What kind of conversations do you want to have day to day? Right? So it's a lot about self-awareness for sure. Figure out your own formula because you have gotten to where you're at now, and you've been a success for a reason. But there's a formula to that you're not aware of, right? For example, I work, just to put things into context, I work the best in the mornings, right? So between 6 and 1 p.m., my most productive hours. So guess what I do? I'm very freaking productive. So I don't schedule any meetings during that time because I want to do deep work. That is my formula for being productive, right? One of my formulas is not relying on social media, is actually working on creating results for my clients. That is my formula. What is your formula? It could be connection, right? It could be something that you do that's so uniquely you that brings you results. That's different from your superpower story, by the way. It's very different. And of course, understanding your resource bank, right? That is one of my 6 pillars, understanding your resource bank. Your resource bank, oh my goodness, your internal and external resources. I could speak about it for hours and hours, right? Internal resources, what do you have that's uniquely you? Are you a natural speaker? Are you a natural connector? Are you empathetic, right? What do you do that's naturally you? Identify those, right? And bring it forward into your business. And number 2, your external resources, your connections, your network, and then filling the gap in your businesses, right? I need a marketing person, I need this person for like a promotion and whatever else. Like you need to understand and identify your resource bank. So that I think would be the 4. How many did I say just now? Maybe more, but I think they are the top four tips.
I love them all. They're all essential. They're all essential. And I like how none of them are like, look outside. They're looking inside and building up that trust with yourself and figuring out what you are really good at. We're so trained to look outside of ourselves and be like, okay, well, we need to get this to-do list done, or this is how we were told we need to do it. And as an entrepreneur, you have to flip that script, and it might take some trial and error. Like I tried social media. I tried a bunch of different methods that didn't work for me. But if I was never willing to put myself out there and fail at those things, I would have never figured out what I was actually good at or allowed myself that space to be like, okay, Leslie, you've got to back up and figure this out first. And then you can move forward more powerfully and more easily.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point. It all starts and ends with you, right? It all starts. Please, of course, use external resources as and when needed, but realize and know in your heart of hearts that you have the answers. 1000%. Yeah.
Well, Tonia, thank you so much for sharing your story, showing people what is possible without feeling like you have to be pressured into doing things that aren't very comfortable for you, and just being a walking example for everybody out there. So where can everybody find you?
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Leslie. I am on social media at the Tonia Smith brand. You can find me. I do monitor my Instagram, even though I'm not as active, but I do post all the time. And my my website is the Tonia Smith brand as well. If you leave like an inquiry, I will reach out to you directly via email as well.
Perfect. And I'll leave all of your links below the videos so that it's very easy for people to find you. If anyone wants to be connected with her as well, you can reach out to me. I would be happy to be a connection point because she is just a powerhouse. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thank you so much. My pleasure, Leslie. My pleasure.
If you want to learn more about different marketing strategies to bring consistent clients into your business without feeling the pressure to post on social media, make sure you watch the free training on the client connection method, which is in the description below. Thanks for hanging out with us today.